Police departments across the country are trying to limit potentially dangerous police pursuits. One law enforcement agency in our region has seen a dramatic increase in such chases. Good evening, I'm Bill Fitzgerald.
And I'm Janine Samuels. Given the possible deadly consequences, officers are grappling with the big question, is it worth it? Our Tyler Lane examines the data and speaks with local law enforcement leaders for his latest CBS 6 investigation.
Riding his bike home from work.
If I can do anything to bring him back.
A vigil for a father. He was on his way to his mother's house.
We are just here to get justice for my son. That is it. We need justice.
And a memorial for a young woman who was just in the car with her boyfriend.
And it leads to something tragic, something so unnecessary that could have simply been avoided.
All represent innocent lives that were lost just this year in Central Virginia as a result of a police pursuit crash, leaving officers grappling with tough decisions on when and when not to give chase.
A pursuit is comparatively more dangerous than a police shootout. So it's all about balancing this risk versus reward equation. Is the pursuit more dangerous to the public, to the officer, to the suspect, than letting them go and finding them at a later date?
Data that CBS 6 collected from local law enforcement agencies shows the number of annual pursuits have either decreased or remained relatively steady over the past 5 years, except in Chesterfield. There, police chases are up by 197% since 2018.
Why is Chesterfield the outlier here?
That's a good question. Without knowing the ins and outs of how our neighboring and partnering agencies are choosing to perform or not perform traffic enforcement, I can't give you the answer why. I will tell you that we are unapologetic in how we pursue criminals, how we pursue safety on our streets.
In 2022, Chesterfield officers engaged in 191 chases. Deputy Chief Brad Badrow says 2/3 of them began as traffic violations, like speeding, improper registration, or no tags. Chesterfield's department policy states that pursuit should be initiated only when the danger to the public created by the pursuit is less than the danger to the public should the suspect remain at large.
So when a majority, an overwhelming majority, are due to traffic infractions, which are not serious or violent crimes, are officers acting within policy?
I would say our officers are very aware of our policy. I can't give you how many times something started a certain way but then turned into something else, right?
Do you see that often, that it does start as a traffic stop and then it turns into something very serious?
So depends on what your definition of often is, right? And I'm not trying to wordsmith it necessarily, but I mean, it happens a good bit.
For example, he says the driver may have had guns or drugs in the car. Additionally, Badrow says an increase in stolen vehicles, a property crime, has led to an increase in pursuits, and he believes that victims support their commitment to catching fleeing thieves.
If Joe Smith, Chesterfield County resident, had his car stolen and we see it on the road, would they want us to try to get that car back? Would they want us to chase that car and try to get that car back? I think they would.
But VCU criminal justice expert Dr. Will Pelfrey, who advises police departments on pursuit policy, says chases should only be reserved for the most severe offenses, especially with the advancements in police technology.
They can find vehicles if they need to. Even if they can't, the risk of losing a suspect to a traffic accident, the risk of losing a civilian or an officer, it's not worth a stolen vehicle.
Last year, 52 Chesterfield pursuits ended with a crash. There were 22 injuries and 1 death. There's also been 1 pursuit-related death so far this year in 2023. That was when police chased a suspect for nearly an hour into 2 different jurisdictions because he was alleged to be in a stolen vehicle with guns inside it. The suspect ultimately ran a red light in Petersburg, crashing into an unrelated car and killing Denasia Gray.
Why was it so imperative to risk multiple, not just 1, not just 2, but risk and cause my sister to lose her life because of y'all wanted to make an arrest for a stolen truck and some guns?
You could make an argument that if you have a death as a result of a pursuit, that you should never pursue again.
And Badreau says there are times when police choose to call off a pursuit. It happened 56 times last year. Now, recently, the U.S. Department of Justice released a study recommending that police agencies nationwide adopt restrictive policies and only allow pursuits for violent crimes or when the suspect presents an imminent threat. But Chesterfield believes their current policy is sound as is.
I understand that there are some departments, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, that have made very clear designations that there's no pursuit policy, basically, right? We're not that. And we won't be.
Badreau points to the successful outcomes of the county's pursuits. Last year, 65% of their chases led to an immediate arrest and 149 charges. 19 illegal guns were also seized as a result. But others point to the potential consequences.
I expect Chesterfield County will need to consider shifting their policies to be more closely aligned with best practices, with the accredited agencies in the region and in the nation. And if they don't, they're putting the public at risk.
Do you feel like the way Chesterfield approaches pursuits in the county is successful and ultimately it's keeping the public safe?
Yes, I do.
Now, in his 2022 pursuit review, Police Chief Jeffrey Katz said he would not recommend any substantial policy changes. However, he is implementing an operational change that aims to limit the number of pursuits after stolen cars. If you'd like to read the reports for yourself, we have them on WTVR.com. I'm Tyler Lane, CBS 6 News.